Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, the two largest cocoa producers in the world stay away from a major cocoa industry meeting. Ivory Coast and Ghana say that chocolate multinationals are exploiting farmers and keeping them in poverty. Also, South Africa says that its government will take the lead in informing the public about any imminent threat on its territory after the US embassy issues a terror alert in Johannesburg for the weekend. And in South Africa, it can be difficult for breast cancer sufferers to find people to talk to about the psychological toll it takes to keep battling the disease. Our team in Johannesburg speaks to an NGO offering a friendly ear and a buddy service to overwhelmed patients facing the taboo of mastectomy. But first, the World Cocoa Foundation meeting is being held in Brussels this week, and the world's top two producers, Ghana and Ivory Coast, are boycotting. Together, the two West African nations account for 2/3 of the world's cocoa production, but their farmers only earn less than 6% of the more than €100 billion revenue generated in the production of chocolate. Local producers say that multinationals are refusing their request to pay their workers a fair wage. Our correspondent spoke to one of the men involved in pulling together the boycott.
The two largest cocoa producers in the world are pushing back over being shortchanged for their beans. Ghana and Ivory Coast are boycotting a major cocoa industry meeting held in Brussels this week. While the price of chocolate has increased by 6% this year, that has not been reflected in the earnings of Ivorian and Ghanaian growers who have seen the price of raw cocoa plummet over the last 3 years. They say that's an unfair deal that reflects global power imbalances, and they've warned that unfair tactics, market tactics, have damaging environmental consequences and drastically depress the living standards of cocoa farmers, most of whom live in poverty.
So farmer, if you look at the data, cocoa farmers, and you look also at the markets, are not being paid even what is enough to cover the cost of production. And this is the market price associated to the cocoa. So if the farmer cannot get to this decent income, how can we tell the farmer that he should care about environment and other things? Everything is interrelated.
The Cocoa Initiative also says that if traders and multinational chocolate companies don't work towards paying a fair price for their cocoa, the boycotting nations have the means to apply further pressure, particularly with regards to sustainability labels that multinationals pride themselves on.
This company, after exploration and investigations, definitely will not be able to call the program sustainability because we are going to suspend. And I think for us, this is a very clear message. Any sustainability that is associated with any manipulation of the market down will be suspended in Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana.
The initiative says that it's still open to discussions, but that it won't budge until the more than 600,000 cocoa workers in Ivory Coast and Ghana are compensated fairly for their work.
Sophie Lamott there for us. Now, South Africa says that its government will take the lead in informing the public about any imminent threat on its territory. This after the US Embassy's issue of a terror alert in Johannesburg for this weekend. Now, Washington reportedly received information about a potential attack in the high-end suburb of Sandton in Johannesburg, where the US Consulate General is. Nadine Theron has more.
The presidency of South Africa responded hours after the US Embassy warned its citizens that the financial capital of the country, Sandton, might be attacked by terrorists this coming Saturday. Now, South Africa's government downplayed the risk, saying that threats are assessed continuously.
South Africans should be best informed by the South African government, our agencies, as they are getting better at their job of securing our people, are alert and are looking very closely at this type of threat, and they continue to do so. So any form of alert will come from the government of the Republic of South Africa, and it is unfortunate that another government should issue such a threat as to send panic amongst our people.
But according to one leading news site, News 24, US authorities have identified 7 individuals believed to be part of an Islamic State or ISIS-linked cell. And these guys have reportedly also been on the radar of South African police before the warning was issued. Now, we know that ISIS already has a presence in South Africa, and in March this year, the US sanctioned 4 alleged ringleaders in the country. Then there's the fact that in 2020, ISIS threatened an attack on South Africa if it deployed troops to battle insurgents in neighboring Mozambique. And our soldiers have now been fighting terrorists there for over a year now. Meanwhile, panic has spread to employees of businesses based in Sandton, and some companies have advised their staff not to go to work on Saturday. But why Sandton? It's just that most of the country's biggest financial institutions have their headquarters there. There are lots of people who work at the mall, which attracts some of the wealthiest shoppers in the continent on weekends. But its management says it will be trading as normal this weekend. Then the US Consulate General's offices are also based in the area. In the meantime, speculation is rife about possible targets. There has been some concerns about the Joburg Pride, which is due to take place this weekend, the Pride March, but its organizers say that the event is going ahead.
Nadine Thera. Women's rights groups have demanded that South African police relaunch an investigation after rape charges were dropped against 14 men accused of gang raping at least 8 women at a disused mine. Now, the victims had been shooting a music video at the time. The men are believed to be illegal miners, and the attack sparked violent protests around Krugersdorp. The charges were withdrawn after prosecutors said that DNA did not link the suspects to the crime. Now, some activists accuse police of mishandling the investigation and say that they've let victims down. Namibia is waiting on a response from Berlin after having asked Germany to renegotiate an agreement that saw the former colonizer admit genocide. The deal was struck last May, and Germany also offered 1.1 billion euros over 30 years in development aid to Namibia. But many Namibians rejected their government's terms, saying that they didn't go far enough and that members of the Herero and Nama communities whose ancestors were slaughtered were not consulted. More than 70,000 people were killed by German occupiers between 1904 and 1908. Kenya's new cabinet has been sworn in. The 22-member lineup will have to now work alongside President William Ruto to tackle the spiralling cost of living in the country. And staying in Kenya, it's become the first country in East Africa with a commercial 5G network. The country's largest telecommunications operator, Safaricom, launched the high-speed internet service on Thursday. The initial focus will be on 5G Wi-Fi rather than on mobile, as there are still relatively few 5G-compatible devices in Kenya. To Uganda now, and it's stepping up its Ebola response, with authorities announcing the start of vaccine clinical trials over the next 2 weeks. The virus recently spread to the capital, sparking fears of further contagion, but the African CDC said on Thursday that the situation is under control. Laura Berstecker has more.
More than a month into Uganda's latest Ebola outbreak, the country's health ministry says it will open a new treatment center and soon begin clinical trials for candidate vaccines against the Sudan strain of the virus.
The Ministry of Health will be evaluating the efficacy of 3 candidate Ebola Sudan vaccines to protect primary contacts of Ebola patients within 29 days of contact.
Ugandan authorities have been closely monitoring and tracing contacts of some 150 confirmed Ebola patients. That's almost 3,000 people who will take part in the trials, which are set to begin in 2 weeks. This as the outbreak recently spread to the capital, Kampala, which now has 15 confirmed cases. Residents there worried authorities could impose a lockdown, which they say would be disastrous for the local economy, but others appeared confident the epidemic was being contained.
We didn't have a lockdown during previous Ebola outbreaks, so I doubt there'll be one this time. Today we have more resources, people are more knowledgeable. We'll handle it better this time.
While vaccines have proved effective to halt the spread of Ebola in the past, none has yet been approved for the rare Sudan strain, which is currently circulating in Uganda.
Now, in South Africa, it can often be difficult for breast cancer sufferers to find people to talk to about the psychological toll it takes to keep battling the disease. And in particular, women who undergo mastectomies can feel overwhelmed and isolated from those around them. As Breast Cancer Awareness Month comes to a close, our team in Johannesburg went to meet one organisation that accompanies patients through the difficult journey, particularly when it comes to mastectomies.
Thato has been living with cancer for 2 years. She has had to have her right breast removed last year. She's in good spirits, partly because of help from an organisation that's been offering her psychological support. She resumed chemotherapy on the Monday before our meeting.
You didn't mind the side effects too bad for Monday?
No. For now, at least, I'm still okay.
She hasn't told her teenage daughter that the cancer is back yet.
There's reoccurrence happening. I haven't told her about it because I know she's going to stress a bit.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to have to get her some kind of like counseling, some kind of like someone who understands this journey better.
We understand the feelings. We understand how it feels to go through surgery because we've been there ourselves.
Jenna was 17 when she had her double mastectomy. Oma has been in remission since hers in 2015. Thato also has to have her left breast removed. It doesn't stop the fitness instructor.
I walk around into the shower rooms with one breast, with clients, female clients who do not know what's going on with me, and they see me with one breast and they go, oh, there is cancer. You lose your breast, but you can still live longer. You can live your life and be the most happiest person ever without you feeling shy that I don't have a breast. Yeah, it's just a breast. It's out. Your life is there.
The stigma is even worse in rural areas where many women with breast cancer think they have been cursed.
Yeah, like a dog. It was too much.
Right now we have a patient, she is 22. The mom would say that your breasts have actually grown, is there something wrong? And this girl would just believe that the family of the boyfriend is actually bewitching her so that she cannot be staying with the boyfriend.
I think we need more awareness, not just in October, but I think it should happen throughout the year, that we go to communities and to rural villages where we will be able to educate.
Thato plans to do that if her health allows it.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.